Welcome to Zimmerman Podcast, episode 85. Today, we're sitting down with Bree Carroll of Bree Carroll Events. Bree is sharing how Know Your Numbers helped her clarify her purpose and shift from focusing on weddings and events to helping military couples strengthen their marriages. In the episode, Bree says that if she could rename my course, she would name it My Wealth, My Way, the power of financial planning to build wealth. This course is all about how to tailor a financial plan to make your individual dream life available to you. Keep listening to hear how Bree got control of her money so she could plan her dreams and see them come to life. I hope you love Bree's story. All right, you ready? Let's do it. I'm Jessica Zimmerman, and this is Zimmerman Podcast. I'm a serial entrepreneur, mom to three, and professional oversharer who has spent a decade building my business and helping others do the same. From wedding floral design to business education, features in Martha Stewart Weddings and Forbes magazine, and even writing and publishing my best-selling memoir, Sleeping with a Stranger, my business has kept growing, evolving, and changing year after year, just like me. Because the best thing about building a strong business is the freedom it gives me to live a full life. And that's what Zimmerman Podcast is all about, sharing real, transparent, in-the-moment reflections about how to live a life, build a business, and lead a family through the good, the hard, and the messy. That's what we're doing each week, right here on Zimmerman Podcast. Welcome to the show. Hi, Bree. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for having me. It is such a pleasure to be on.
This is going to be I always love talking to a student. I don't get to do it that often. So I'm just thrilled. I'm so excited. Tell me a little bit about how you first got into Zimmerman education.
Yes. So as the owner of Bree Carroll Events, I am, or I should say was, you'll find out a little more about that, a wedding and event planner solely. And my mom actually got me into it. She was a part-time florist and teacher. So flowers have always been a really big part of just the brand identity, the culture, the reason why it brought me in, just seeing her serve her clients through floral and garland. And you know, back when she was doing floral, there wasn't really a planner. So she took on those roles and those tasks. So I always had an interest in incorporating floral into my business. So I actually joined Zimmerman in Education via BBB, which was a game changer, as your listeners probably know. But it really helped me identify things in my existing business as a planner to kind of fine tune some things, and then give me the options to incorporate floral with the tremendous amount of resources. One, you are super transparent in it, and that's what I love about all of your courses, BBB and Know Your Numbers. It's very practical, and it was just easy for me to implement. So I actually hopped on the deal early, if you will. So anyone out there who is interested in education, join early because you get the added benefits of Know Your Numbers. And when I tell you, I do have a little FOMO. FOMO is so real. Had I joined a little earlier, I would have had the power of pinning too. And that's another course that it's on my to-do list to add to my toolkit of education through Zimmerman Education, just because I got BBB, and then with getting it early, I was able to get Know Your Numbers, and it's been such a game changer, not just for my business, but for my life overall.
Ah, I love that. I love that. Yes, we at Zimmerman, we refer to Business Behind the Blooms as BBB because Business Behind the Blooms is just too long to say sometimes. So I
Yeah.
love that you got Business Behind the Blooms and that you enjoyed that program. And then you took Know Your Numbers. So tell me, because I think Know Your Numbers for me is kind of where it all starts with. I mean, it's the program that I do myself every single year. I do it every November,
Right.
and it is just such a wonderful reset for me. And it just, I don't know, I love to look at my work life because it's about your work life, but it's also about your personal life. And it's kind of nice to have a year, kind of a roadmap a little bit.
Absolutely.
It's not that you can't go off or veer off the roadmap, but it's just nice to kind of have a bit of a guide. So tell me kind of what your favorite kind of takeaways were about Know Your Numbers.
So, yeah. So for Know Your Numbers, I have like three favorite chapters or parts, if you will. The first one is definitely module one. It lays such a solid foundation and it really works on your mindset, not just as a business owner, but your mindset and your outlook just on life. And I really appreciated that because it gave me the opportunity to do a little bit of a self audit on my time, efficiencies, and how I define success. So I love module one. Please, if you do know your numbers, do not skip any of the parts. It sets you up the way it's organized for a reason, because I really feel like had I not sat down and just evaluated what I wanted out of life, what I thought was working well or wasn't working well, my life and business, then I wouldn't have been ready to really dive into that data and be comfortable in that data and having some awareness of where I was trying to go along the way. I think the second one was in module two. So my background is in engineering. Let me just preface this. So I'm a big picture thinker. Normally people will talk about engineers, they're problem solvers, but we really like to see like the whole picture. So what really just made my heart leap in module 2 was the personal net worth. It's big picture, really. And the reason why the personal net worth portion was big for me is because, one, I had never done that before, right? I didn't know that you could have a negative net worth. I didn't think about what assets I had in my life to really say, hey, this is where you are financially. And I mean, oftentimes you'll hear about celebrities and they're worth all this money or what have you, but you don't think about that as like an average person, right? So I think going through that exercise of evaluating your personal net worth was just so valuable for me because I needed to see the big picture. I needed to see my areas of opportunities or threats that were kind of holding me back financially from where I wanted to be. So that's why I love that. And then the last one, which is module 4, absolutely love that because that's what I'll be working on here soon, is just really cleaning things up. The checklist that is offered in there is amazing. It goes far beyond just looking at it from business, but it really goes into detail and breaks down the different areas that you might want to clean up, revisit as you start afresh and do the course year after year.
Bree, I think you and I could be really good friends because the ones you love are the same that I love. Like I like all of them, obviously, but those are the three that just speak to me. That
Yeah.
I get excited every year to do this program again because of the three that you just mentioned. I love to kind of big picture plan and go, man, what am I thinking about for this year? How am I going to make that happen? What kind of worked this last year? What didn't? And then I love looking at my net worth every year. And like you said, it's okay if it's negative. I mean, it's going to be a minute before you get into the positive, especially if you have a home and you have, student debt or you have a business loan or something like that. But what's important is that every year it gets a little better. And
Oh,
that might
yeah.
mean that it went from negative 200,000 to negative 190,000, right? But guess what? It got better. And so, you're on your way to, then having that positive net worth. And I think just being you know, cognizant of that and just know it helps you make better choices, throughout the year. What did you find that to be the case too?
Oh, absolutely. So, I love the title of the program, Know Your Numbers, but really, if I could rename it, I totally would call it My Wealth My Way: The Power of Financial Planning to Build Wealth. And I feel like it's
Oh, that
all
is
of that.
good.
Yeah,
That is
it is
really
all of that
good.
and more because really you are empowered. And I'll be honest, Jessica, like although I said I have a background in engineering, right? Numbers are my thing, but finances, oh my goodness, I would run and hide because I was always intimidated by money. It wasn't something that was just heavily taught in my upbringing. It wasn't something that I felt I had control over or power over. And just utilizing this course, it really positioned me to, one, have my mindset to say, hey, I tell my money what I want want to do with it. My Wealth My Way just goes into, because I'm an entrepreneur, I know what I need to do in my business to see the outcomes that I planned and the dreams and the things that I've thought up. And now I feel empowered. I don't feel like I have to run and not open, envelopes that might be bills for my business, or I don't have to run away from the cost and the overhead. I can make informed decisions about how I want to build wealth, because it goes beyond just a business. It goes towards, what do I want my family life to look like? How am I building wealth, and how is that balance happening in my family?
Right. Oh, that's so good. And I think two things you said there are very important. I think number one, you know, one of the things that I try to teach people in the most sincere way possible is that people say all the time, like, oh, money doesn't mean anything, money doesn't matter. It does matter. We have to have money. I mean, I think, we don't want to be focused on it all the time, but
Hmm.
man, how empowering it is to know what's coming in, what's going out, to know what you can spend money on, what you, because I always say, and I say this, I think in the program several times, you can buy anything. You just
Absolutely.
can't buy everything. And so it really is kind of just shifting your mindset a little bit and empowering you with your finances. I think another thing that you mentioned that is so, so true is that so many of us were not brought up um, to where we really learned this. And then we
Right.
kind of, I know
Right.
I wasn't. And then we get out into the world and it's like, I'm sorry, what? What just happened? I'm supposed to
Exactly. Right.
reconcile a bank account. What? And, it's funny because there's always something that happens in your childhood that you either try to do the opposite of with your kids, or you try to continue with your kids. And for me with money, I mean, at the youngest of age, I'm trying to teach them the value of a dollar. And yesterday we went to get the kids haircuts, and at this place where they get their haircut are there's toys, right? And Perry was like, "I'm going to buy something." I said, "Well, you have to use your money." And they do little jobs around the house for $1, and when they complete a job, they get $1, which is 10 dimes, and they have to put one in their give jar,
Oh, look
which
at
goes to
that.
God. They put two in their save jar, and then I tell them if they want to put any more in their save jar, then I'll match it because we never say no to free money
Oh, that
in
is
case they do a
awesome.
perfect job.
Yes.
And then the other, whatever they choose left, or the 7 go in their spin jar, because I'm trying to teach them that $1 really is like 70 cents or less, it doesn't really mean that. And trying to teach them what tax means and those kinds of things. And I just say, my kids are 5, 5, and 7, and I'll say, every time you buy something, so if you buy an ice cream cone and it's normally $3, well, it's going to be 3 something, 3.47. And that 47 cents goes to pay for the roads we drive on. It goes to pay for the stop signs. It goes to pay for the playgrounds that you play on, and everyone who buys anything, they pay tax, and that's what that goes for. So if something says it's $3, you really need to have more than $3 to pay for it. Well, anyway,
I love that you
I
break that down for your children. I mean, that is such a valuable lesson to get early on, as opposed to as adults, we're trying to figure these things and these concepts out. Even when you break it down in your modules and you're like, okay, if you are trying to get 60% of profit, well, this portion has to go back into your business, and this portion you need to set aside for taxes. It's like things that we found out so much later. So I love that you're setting your children up for success. And really, even you doing that little exercise, I hope and encourage people who are taking Know Your Numbers. This can be really a family activity. Like I've just been nerding out a little bit on finances here as I've been reading the book You're a Badass at Making Money. And it's become a family thing. We are not, like you said, we're not afraid of money. Money is not everything, but it's a powerful tool to get us what we want. And showing my kids that, and getting my husband involved and on the same page with money, even though like he's the one that's good with money. I'm the swiper. So so to get the family involved and have those lessons where we can really rally together and say, look, this is how we want to show you how to utilize these tools. You can get what you want. And look, you still have savings. You still have a tithe that can go to serve in greater areas, like, and it's awesome to just see the little light bulbs perk up in their mind, like, okay, so what else can I do to get some more money to do this thing that I really like? And that's the same thing that we're doing in Know Your Numbers, and that's why I love that portion of those wish list items where you can really write down, like, okay, what can I get? What can I work towards? Because, like you said, you can buy anything, you can't buy everything. So it makes you prioritize the things that are important to you. And in that same token, we can teach our children that too. So that's awesome.
Right. Oh, it's so true. Oh, yeah, I love the wish list portion. I think that's so fun. It's just it's such a fun, fulfilling, empowering program to go through every year. And I just love it. But yeah, so I took Perry yesterday to get his haircut, and there was this toy. By the way, I knew he didn't have enough money to buy one of these toys, and everything in
Yeah.
there is like $25 or more. But I wanted him to see that, you know. And so he picked out the toy. It was like $22, and he had $3.50 in his bag. And because we had just gone to the bank to deposit some stuff, but um I had to show him the difference, that he needed, 23 of these or 24 of these, and he got it. Like, it clicked, and he said, "So I need to do like 20 something more jobs." And I
Yeah,
said,
he's
"Yeah."
got it. That's
Yeah, and
awesome.
so this morning, the first thing out of his mouth is he said, "Mom, I wanna work all day. Can I do 23 jobs?" I mean, just, and he got it. You have to work, because he even asked me at one point, he goes, do you have enough money? Can you buy it for me?" And I said, "I can, but that I'm not going to, because that's not gonna teach
Mm,
you anything." And I said, "And the other thing is, you don't wanna have to owe anybody anything.
right.
So, it's better to make your own money."
That is
Um
awesome.
well, it's just, I just wish, that I had learned that lesson that early. That's it. That's,
Yeah, I agree.
anytime we struggle with something later on in life, we're like, I wanna make sure my kids don't deal with that. So, what was your biggest light bulb moment, going through Know Your Numbers?
Yeah, I think my biggest light bulb moment was that I wasn't in as bad of a spot as I thought I was, really.
Mhm, mhm.
I think so going back to the net worth, I was a positive net worth. I was like, "Oh, okay, so this isn't that bad." And then going through
Yeah, that's
what
great.
my debt was, I was like, "Hey, I'm actually really on track to pay these things off." So it was just a realization that oftentimes we run from things and we don't pay attention to things and we're not focused on things because we're afraid of them.
Right.
Know your numbers literally is that. Know your number so that you're not fearfully running away from something that could be a positive. And in my case, it was a positive. I was running away from this unknown, scary thing, which really was an empowering moment for me to realize that the narrative that I was telling myself, that I wasn't good with money or that I wasn't set up as well as I could be, wasn't as it wasn't true. The data was right there in front of me and it showed me like, hey, you are really doing good. Now, here's some areas of improvement that you continue to build on.
If you want to build a great business or live a good life, you've got to plan for it. Every year, I take a whole month to reevaluate the past 12 months and figure out what worked, what didn't, and how I can create a life I love for the following year. I teach you my exact planning process in my program, Know Your Numbers, annual planning for your best year. If you want a free training to get some tips on planning your best year yet, go to zimmermanpodcast.com/know your numbers. That's zimmermanpodcast.com/know your numbers. I think one of the biggest moments for me is when a student reached out to me and she said, "I didn't make any additional money this year. I made the same this year that I made last year, but I paid off $50,000 in debt because I went through your program, Know Your Numbers, and because I finally got to see where this extra money was going to, that we were just kind of, like you said, just swiping, just swiping
Right.
and not thinking about it." And she said, "I thought it was going to take me 20 years to pay off my student loans, and they did it in a year because they went through Know Your Numbers." And it was just shown to them in such a, and I love that you talk about family, because I love going through personal finances with my husband every year. I
Mhm.
love it. And as my kids get older, we're going to go through it with them. I just think it's so important and freeing, really, because when you know your numbers, there's just so much freedom with that.
And let me just agree with your student. I saw the same thing. So my net worth increased by 40K. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, shoot.
Really?
Yes. So I was just like mind blown, first of all. And spoiler alert, I did start working on Know Your Numbers early just because September is more of a reset for us. So I'm a military spouse and entrepreneur. So we just went through a PCS or a move in duty station. So we were in a new location. We had to pack up our whole house and move our whole life. So that was in August. So September has always been like a good time to like reset, purge, do all the things and diving into our numbers. And we found out that we had a 400K increase in our net worth. And not only that, we also, like your student, figured out that we can be completely debt free with the exception of our mortgage in a year's time. That was a game changer. And that is just from not even going through the full know your number system, but just the first couple components of it. Because like I said, I haven't done the full program all the way through for the second time, but that was just so powerful just to see even in that one moment that so much improvement can be made in a year's time, and it's because we're being intentional about our spending. Granted, we had some bumps in the roads. I still swiped a little bit, guys, honesty. But I
We
can
love the
see,
honesty.
I
We
know
love it.
it's real, and I could see that, you know what, we actually did cut down the amount of eating out that we have. I love the example that you have about drinking soda and how you were like, I don't need to drink all of this. Same thing that we found out. And it was just like, oh, I actually really enjoy cooking for my family. I don't like washing the dishes, but by decreasing the amount that we eat out, now I'm doing something that I actually really enjoy. The kids can get involved and we just saved money. That's a win-win. And that's something that we wouldn't have identified had I not had this tool to kind of work through.
Bree, that is really amazing. Like, I really do think that that's incredible that you were able to pay off $40,000. I mean, in a year, that's insane. Like, would you ever have imagined that you would have
No,
been able to do that?
no. And I probably would have glazed over it because I wasn't tracking it before.
Mhm.
Think about that. And I love, so all my people out there who are in wedding and event space, and celebrating is really important. And I feel like if you're not paying attention to your numbers, if you're not tracking it, if you're not seeing those wins, you glaze over it. You don't get the opportunity to celebrate it, and then that really stunts your growth. It hinders
Yes.
your momentum. And now just seeing it again, I love that the program is like annually. You can go back over it year after year, and it really just pushes you forward to just say how much more you can do. It actually even helped me out with a pivot, if you will, that I'm doing due to just what's going on in the world. And as you know, 2020 threw us some curveballs, right?
Just a
But
few, yeah.
yeah, but it actually, because I was informed about where I was financially, I could see that as things were kind of getting canceled off of my wish list section, well, I really didn't need the additional income that I was making from my business. So I wasn't really hurting. I approached this whole pandemic differently because I knew where I stood with my
Right.
numbers and I could make informed decisions in regards to how I want to proceed with wedding and event planning. And now my new pivot is really also inspired by Jessica, just with her heart for educating and teaching people. So now my platform is really focused on the strength of marriages, because I got like tired of the details of like, yes, you want to have an amazing reception and that's so meaningful and that's great, but how is your relationship really doing? Because y'all have been bickering this whole time. So I am able to do purposeful work, and I'm not afraid to invest in education for myself or invest in making this pivot to where I will be more fulfilled and get time back with my family, because I knew my numbers. I had it all charted out there. I love that it's a Google Doc because my husband has the link to it. Like, I just shared the file so he can see it as well. So he can help me stay accountable in my business and how I am spending in that area and our personal life. And it has just been a game changer. And especially for 2020. And as we kind of walk this thing out and see where life takes us for 2021, I highly encourage relying on a tool like this because knowing is empowering.
Oh, it really is. It really, really is. When you know the answers, you just are able to go through life more confidently. And I don't know, just with this sense of assurance in a way where it's just like you kind of know everything's going to be okay. And I've talked to several students who went through Know Your Numbers in January. So, just 2 months before the pandemic hit. And all of them have said the same thing. They've said, Jessica, had I not gone through this program before the pandemic, I would have panicked. I would have freaked out. There's no telling where I would be. But because I just knew I'd be okay. I was like, oh, well, I know exactly where everything is. And I know what I need to do now. And I could kind of reassess. And so that was just music to my ears. That made me so happy. So I'm so glad that happened with you too.
Yes, yes.
Running a floral business isn't always as pretty as the flowers themselves. I spent more than $100,000 educating myself and figuring out how to make this business work for me and fully support my family of five. If you're wanting to know how to not only run a profitable business, but also hear all my firsthand experiences of navigating how to deal with difficult brides, make automated systems, create proposals, set boundaries in your work, and book every bride you want, you need to check out Business Behind the Blooms. Go to zimmermanpodcast.com/BBB to get more information. That's zimmermanpodcast.com/BBB. So, how did Know Your Numbers help change your mentality of focusing more on, like who you wanted to become or who you are becoming and less about what you're doing?
So I love that Know Your Numbers really helps you break down the journey. And as an entrepreneur, I have a healthy appreciation now more so for the journey, not just like the destination. And yes, I'm going to be a millionaire. Like, yes, I'm speaking that, definitely speaking that for myself and my family. But at the same time, I appreciate the journey. And even when it comes to your plan, you whipping out that planner and knowing what you can say yes to and what you want to say no to because it frees up space for you to say yes to something else. That's huge when it comes to the journey. And like I said, as a military spouse, especially, I value my time. I value my time with my family. I value my time with my airmen. My husband is a pilot, and when he's gone on a deployment or he's gone TDY, I don't want to be chained to some business because I wasn't being strategic and being intentional about how I want to spend my time in my business and with my family. And I think just going through the program really put a refocus and some clarity, if you will, for me, just because I'm a hard worker. Like, I like to do things. I'm a doer. That's what I like to say. I'm a doer. And it made me realize that of all the things that I could be doing, I don't have to be like on a hamster wheel just running, 70 miles per hour. I could be blocking off some time, doing things that are, money generating activities. I could look at the things that are giving me better return on investment, spend my time there. So now, no, I don't feel bad when my kids want to do a mock puppet show with something that they tape together. Like, I don't feel bad and I don't have my phone, attached to my hand as much as I used to, just trying to do different things. I realize that when I look at what I need to make, and I actually, a mentor of mine actually said this, and I was like, yes, she actually said the word "Know Your Numbers," but she was just, she was kind of talking to me about, we were trying to encourage her to do a new, like a membership or a new program or a new something or what have you, and she was like, you know what, I love that y'all are excited about this, but I know my number. And I was just like, yes, like
Love that.
I was like, yes, this is why I love this course, because I too have the ability to say, oh, new person over here that wants me to do a party for them. Actually, I'm no longer offering service like that. My purpose is focused on strengthening military marriages right now. And thank you so much for considering me for that. But I know my number, so I'm not desperately just jumping out to do events and things anymore. Like, I know my number.
It
I
gave you
know
the
what,
freedom
yeah,
to
I
step
know
back.
what journey I want to go on, and I'm confident in that.
Right. Oh, that is so empowering. I love, love, love hearing this. This makes me so happy. So, are you, we talked about, how I do this every year. When you sign up for Know Your Numbers, you get lifetime access to it. So
Yes, love
you
that.
pay for it once and you get lifetime access to it. Are you looking forward to revisiting it again this year?
So absolutely. And like I mentioned, we started it a little bit revisiting in September, but we're really going to walk through to go all the way through it this year. And my husband will be working with me and making it, putting all the things together. Because I think the first year that I went through it, I didn't incorporate his financial things into it just because I was like, okay, I'm the one who's quote unquote not good with money. Let me get my stuff together, right? So in adding his information on there, I'm excited because in showing him the little bit that I had done, I was a little overwhelmed. And I'm sorry if I get emotional, but my husband was really proud of me. And
Mm,
that just brought so much joy because I love marriage, like that's my thing, and I always felt like a point of where we weren't doing as good is like money because I was doing something wrong.
right.
So to
Right.
hear him say like, "Hun, you're doing a great job. Like, look how much you've paid off of your student loans. Like, look how much you've done." And hearing him be proud of me for that was just such a game changer. And it's because I had the tools to guide what my heart always wanted to do, and having that tools and being equipped in an easy spreadsheet, following the videos, it's super easy to do. It was so fulfilling to just get that have somebody celebrate you for putting in the time and the effort to get equipped and to know where your money is going, because ultimately our heart is just focused on building a legacy and setting up our children and our children's children to have wealth, to leave something to them that was more than we received. So that's why I'm excited about jumping back into it again for this year and the year after as well.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I love that. I have that same, dream, and I'll get there just like you're going to get there about just being able to leave an inheritance, for your children and your children's children, that would be absolutely amazing. I also love what you said about people get confused, I think, sometimes between, being busy, which is reactive, and actually getting things done, which is being proactive, right? And I think a lot of people, and they don't realize, I used to do this and I didn't realize it. I genuinely believed every day I was getting up, I was working hard. And because, listen, I did, I worked hard all day and I came home and I was tired. And I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do. But it isn't until you step away for a second and you take the time to create a plan, to really ask yourself these questions
Right.
and create a roadmap, really, that you actually get things done. Because you can be busy all day,
Oh yeah.
but what are you actually accomplishing? You know what I mean? Or you can do a program like Know Your Numbers and actually live the life of your dreams. And I know that that sounds so cheesy, but I mean, I'm living it and you're living it. I mean, it's so possible.
Absolutely. And I really just feel like the power that Know Your Numbers gives each and every one of us is really amazing. Like, I don't know if you felt that when you were creating it and you were like, yes, people are going to be empowered, but it really is. It is empowering. And I just think in today's society, we really need programs like this to make the little guy feel like, you know what, I can live like the wealthy. That's really what this mindset shift is. And I love how you talked about in the program what do wealthy people do, studying their habits. And like, no, they're not just busy. They're being intentional. They're taking the time to have a morning routine. They're taking the time to spend with their family. They're doing those high impact activities that they've planned out, and they know where they're going and what they want to do, and they have the opportunity to correct, right? If it's going to bother you a
Yes.
couple of times, like
Yes,
three,
girl.
nope,
Yes,
we're
you
going to
watch
take
every
care of it.
video. I love it. I
So,
love it.
yeah, so it's something about a whole mindset shift and a lifestyle. And really, that's what I was excited the most about Know Your Numbers, is that I can live a wealthy life. And oftentimes you don't think of like, hey, I'm just the military spouse, or I'm just, this we just make what we're going to make. And it's like, no, I can live a wealthy lifestyle because I put these things in practice. I have a plan, and now it's just up to me. I have to choose to execute it.
Mm. Oh, it's so good. I've loved everything that you've said. I think that this is going to be so helpful for so many people.
I hope
Um,
so.
I usually have a question that I ask at the end of every interview, but I'm going to adjust it for this one. So, as you're getting ready to work through the course for 2021, what's one thing that you want to do in 2021? And what's one thing you want to incorporate into your daily routine that you think would be really life changing?
I think my one thing would have to be more present. So, and I say be more present just because, um, as a wedding and event planner previously, I spent a lot of time on working on other people's celebrations, working on other people's big days and big moments. And I feel like I wasn't as present with my family. And also, not to mention, I actually have a full-time job in addition to that, right? So it's balancing and wearing all of these different hats. And I never felt like when I was wearing and juggling all these hats that I was really present. Like, yes, they had a beautiful celebration. It was Instagram ready, but was I really present to really enjoy with the couple? And now that I'm not doing that, can I be present to celebrate the small wins of like my baby girl is learning, getting potty trained? Like, am I present with her going through that and really celebrating her, or taking the extra ribbon and random things and like making ribbon things for the girls to twirl? Like, am I present with them in those little
Mhm.
moments to take the time? Because I love how you talked about setting your kids up with financial literacy early. Well, if I'm not present, then I miss out on all those teachable moments. I'm teaching my children that pulling up this laptop and getting on my phone is more important than whatever they're saying to me. No. 2021 will be the year that I show up and I am present with my family and not worried about where my finances are going, because they have already been planned out and I'm executing my plan so I can be present.
Oh, I love that. Well, I know it's going to be an amazing year, and I'm so excited for you and so
Yes.
excited for the future. Thank you so much for coming on here and for just sharing with us your story. I think that it is really going to be helpful. Tell people where we can find you.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at Bree Carroll Events. You can also check me out, bcarrollevents.com. And if you are a military couple out there looking to strengthen your military marriage, you can find me at Hearts and Stripes Podcast.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yay. I'm so excited. Thank you again for being here.
No, thank you.
Even though Bree already had a numbers brain and a business that she loved, Know Your Numbers helped her refine and realign her business calling, while also showing her that her finances were in better shape than she feared. Bree's story proves that when you have a plan that's right for you, you can tell your money what to do. If you're dying to see what the Know Your Numbers hype is all about, I have good news for you. I have a free class that teaches you how to live, love, and fund your dreams. Go to the link in today's show notes to sign up for this free class. And I'll see you right here next week on Zimmerman Podcast.